Hi ladies, so remember you have put your machine onto zigzag and we're now going to do a kind of reverse applique idea. So the fabric this time is going on to the right side of our garment. Now you can use this with ordinary fabric as well, this method, which I think you're going to like. We're doing it with clear glass plastic because we want to make a peephole. So here we go. You just put your machine on 1 width and 1 length zigzag and you just sew around your shape, okay? Now if you want to save the back fabric halfway around, you can actually trim it back, but we're just going to not worry about it at the second. I'll show you when we get there. So you want your needle stop down function. When you're turning your fabric to the right, you want to have your needle down on the left. So there I am turning my fabric and I've just made a little shape of a little girl's dress. Come down to the bottom here. Now I'm going to turn my fabric the opposite way, my needle's on the right, and I'm turning around. I'm going to make my little scallops. So to make your scallops, all you do is turn your fabric as you're sewing. Put your needle on the left this time because you're going to be turning your fabric to make your next scallop. Go around, put your needle on the left, use your knee control to lift your foot up, turn around, right around, put your needle on the left, lift up, turn around, put your needle on the left, coming down, make your curve, put your needle on the left, finishing on the left, and for the last scallop come all the way down and your needle on the right. Now I'm just going to sew up to here and then I'm just going to stop to show you something, because if you want to save the fabric at the back and make a little applique out of it, if you stop now and turn your work over and find your duckbill scissors that you've buried underneath everything. Oh no. There they are. So these are duckbill scissors. So they have a funny little beak part on them. And this part is like a standard scissor and the back part is what you lay against your fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim a bit of the fabric off to show you that if you do want to save this shape, I'm going to have to go this way. I'm just going to make a little hole. Oops. Because let's not waste the fabric. So if I want to just leave a little opening, if I make a hole, then I just get my scissors and I carefully just start cutting that little bit. See how the duckbill goes on my plastic so I can't cut it? There we go. And I'm just doing a tiny little bit. When I finish sewing around it now, I can get in there and cut that shape completely out. And then when I have cut that shape out, I've got a cute little applique that I can use at a later stage. So that's only if you want to save the backing fabric. If you don't want to save the backing fabric, then you don't have to worry. You can just cut that out normally later on. So let's get back to stitching it. So now I'm on the right side of my garment again, or my garment bag. And I'm just doing my small zigzag. I don't need to back stitch it because it's all going to be covered over with satin stitch. Now, because I'm going to be turning again, needle to the left, lift and turn. Okay. So this would be a really pretty fabric if you weren't making a peephole and you could cut the backing out. So it's an easy way of doing an applique. Okay, so just come around. Remember when you're doing curves, when you're doing an inside curve, stop with the needle position to the left. When you're doing an outside curve, stop with the needle position to the right. Okay, come up and then come across the top. Then what I do, needle position to the right, just come back and overlap where you've started. Cut your thread off. Now what I've got now that you should be able to see is I've got the shape of a little dress. So now that I've started the back of it, I can turn it over and now you'll get the full use of the duckbills. So what happens now is, I'll just get round that little edge first, my little point, there we go. So now you can get your scissors, and the duckbill part is going against your fabric, all right? So you can't cut your plastic. Turn your work around. You would not normally do it up in the air like I am. Turn your plastic like that, your fabric, and then your duckbill part goes up against your underneath fabric, and it won't allow you to cut it. Now these scissors are used a lot with heirloom sewing because you're usually working with very expensive fine laces and fabrics, and you definitely don't want to cut them when you've put your lace on. So can you see, if I do it like that, how my duckbill part is running along the underneath fabric, okay, or in this case plastic. Isn't that clever? So they're a very good idea. They can range from about $60 to $80. So I'll just go around my little scallops now. Now the reason why you want these lovely and close to the zigzag is because the next step of our applique is to satin stitch it. So that's why we are wanting to cut close to our zigzag edge. And it's not that easy to do that with very big scissors, so that's why I use the duckbills. So now I'll just run this up the side here, and I'll just tidy up that mess I made at the beginning, and now I can reshape that little dress and I can reuse it. Cute. So I'm now going to turn my work over to my right side here, and now I'm going to cut out my plastic outer. So I've got all this excess plastic I need to cut out now. So I'm just going to butt my scissors up against the plastic, and I can cut right back to my zigzag so that both sides are perfectly even and cut nicely. Okay, discard that plastic. Not so easy on top of your sewing machine, but it does the trick. Okay, go around your curves. Very easy. It's a very good plastic. Be careful with the plastics you buy. You don't want to get a plastic that sticks to itself. You want to get a nice plastic that's very strong, and this one is strong, called clear glass. Okay. Trimming back, and the duckbill's brilliant. Sits on top of your fabric. You don't have to think. You don't have to worry about cutting the underneath. Brilliant. Just show you that last bit there. So flip that off and then flip that off there. Okay. Now I've decided I'm going to satin stitch around my shape, and I'm going to use a coloured thread. So I'm going to put the same colour top and bottom because I'm using a very fine thread, and it is the Madeira Poly Neon thread. So I'm going to put the same colour bobbin in the back so I get a really nice neat finish. So there's my bobbin, and now I'm going to pull my thread down, and when you're going to be using a bigger thread than normal, what you'll do is you will put your thread stand up here. So I've put my thread stand up. You'll put your felt on your thread stand, and you'll put your larger reel of thread on there. Alright. And then thread your machine as normal. Now most of the modern machines have an automatic satin stitch. Okay, so on this machine the automatic satin stitch is number 1354, and that is for a lot of these larger machines. It's the same number. And if you want to know what your satin stitch setting is as an automatic one, the width is 2.5 width and the length is 0.6. So it's a very close satin stitch. Okay, so I'm going to start from my girl's waist here. Now the beauty of this is, even though you're going to be sewing onto the clear glass plastic, it will not rip the plastic, because again you're doing a zigzag. Okay, so just get your threads up. Now, because I'm using a very fine thread, I actually go over my satin stitch twice. Okay, so I do one whole round of my dress on 2.5 width, and then I widen it to 2.8, and I go around it again, and it makes a beautiful finish. I really like going over it twice. Or put your needle stop down function on. Once you've started, you can cut your threads. So let's try that again. Needle down. Thank you. So you're just running your satin stitch over your row of zigzagging you've already done. Okay? And if your machine isn't this quiet, give it a drink of oil. Amazing what an oil does. Remember, stop with your right hand side and go around it. And I'm using a really dark colour so you can clearly see what I'm doing. So when I've done one row, you're still going to see your background fabric, but when I show you a second time, you'll clearly see the difference in my satin stitch. You'll be amazed. It just makes such a difference. And you girls don't have to put a scallop on your little girl's dress if you don't want to do scallops, but it's quite cute. Whoops. Should watch what I'm doing. Okay, so this is my first run. So don't be too fussy about the first run. It's the second run that matters. Okay, so just whip around it first. Needle to that way, turn it. So you're not trying to cover over all your fabric at this stage. You're just tidying up your work, getting it ready for the second run. Okay. Sew it along, needle position to the right, go around your curve, remembering to stop often on your curve. Needle position to the left when you're going around a curve, lift, turn. Needle position to the left, turn. To the left, turn, and stop often, and you'll get a lovely curve. Really nice finish. Okay. Now I'm coming up to the top, so I put the needle position to the right, turn. Needle position to the right, turn, and then come back to my beginning. Now when I get back to the beginning, come right down to where I started. I know it's an odd colour doing a grey dress, but it'll look lovely when it's finished. Now I lift my needle up and I move my stitch width out wider. Now I've only gone to 2.8. Now at this stage, if you've got any raggy bits, watch this, if you've got any raggy bits on your little girl's dress, get your scissors and just trim them off, because you've already zigzagged it, so it won't hurt to trim off any raggy bits now, because you're going to be double stitching them. Okay, so it's only that little point that was a little bit raggy, and a little bit round here. Trim them off now, because this is the time to do them. So just any little raggy bits, give them a little trim up. Aren't these scissors amazing? Just fantastic. There we go. Now I can satin stitch. So I'm on my second run. You'll be really amazed. You're going to love it. You'll do this all the time. So I've only gone out to 2.8, and I was only on 2.5 before. Okay, so now you let the machine do all the work, and you are guiding it nice and centralized around your previous satin stitch. But because you have got the lovely fine thread, you'll now get a beautiful finish. If it doesn't cover your work enough, then do it slightly wider. Okay? And just practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it. Needle position to the right. Right, now oh gosh, the difference is huge. It's amazing. So I'll lift that up and show you in a minute. So I'll just go around my scallop. Okay, so just very slowly. Do not pull or push your work. You now want the machine to do all of the satin stitching. Okay, so you mustn't pull or push your work at all, or you won't get even satin stitching. Just let the machine do all the work. Oops, don't go too far. Okay, very easy. I love doing satin stitch. A lot of people now tend to use the blanket stitch so much, but the satin stitch is still a classic stitch and it still looks amazing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come up to the top here, the waist, and then I'm going to show you the difference. Stop on the right. Oh. I'm just going to cut that off there because I think I just caught it. Right, now let me show you. Here is, now what can I put against here? Here I've gone over my satin stitch once, and here I've gone over my satin stitch twice. So I hope that is showing up because the sun's just beautifully come out at the wrong time now. But what happens is you get a really beautiful thick finish, okay? So the difference is quite amazing, especially when you can see on the top one, you can still see a little bit of the fabric coming through. But on the bottom one, you can see it's lovely and thick with your satin stitch, okay? Now the reason why, remember, because I'm using the fine embroidery thread is a reason I've done that. So once you've finished your little girl, you're going to have it, she's going like this, here, and you're going to have your little girl there, you're going to have this side like this, the other side's going to have the binding down the top, and then you're going to sew this top panel on like I showed you before, like so. That's going to go on the top, okay? But on the other side I want to have my lace work. So I've decided that I'm going to have my pockets this time are going to be made out of lace, just for something really, really different. So one row of lace is fine for putting small things in, but I want to do a double row of lace. So I'm going to change my top thread, and I'm going to show you how to do it with lace because that'll be a little bit different. Oh, and let me show you what I'm doing here. I've decided that I'm going to make a little girl's skirt, and I'm going to put all of these little clear dresses around the bottom, and then I'm going to pleat the top of the little skirt so it kind of looks like that, and I'm going to put a really pretty little petticoat underneath with some nice fabric so it shows through on the little dresses. Cute idea, eh? But what you could do is every little dress could have a different colour behind it. So that's my idea that I'm going to do on a little girl's skirt. So I'll show you that next month. That'll make me finish it. Cute. And that's just a really cute little drill fabric. So now this time, here's my width. So I now want to cut 2 widths of lace that same size. There's one there, and I'll cut a second one. And I'm going to join these together to make a nice deep pocket, because one's really not enough. Now I thought of doing this with netting. So here's my netting, but I think it's a bit ugly to tell you the truth. So I sewed my binding on the same and thought, oh, I'll turn that up and then I'll put it into a zip, but I don't like it. So I flagged that whole idea and I decided just to use the lace. Okay, so sometimes you think of these ideas and yeah, it doesn't really cut the mustard. So I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. So obviously I want to put on white thread, and I'm going to join my 2 laces together. It's going to be the first thing. Now you do want to find out which is the right and wrong side of your lace. The wrong side is very smooth and the right side is shiny and raised up. So there's my two wrong sides together. So I'm just going to place them on top of each other and I'm just going to straight stitch down there. Or zigzag, whichever. If you're worried about straight stitching it, just do a zigzag. So just pin them together like that, and I'm just going to whip down those two together to make a bigger pocket, which I think is a good idea. So I'm going to pull my thread out. I'm going to put back my white thread and my white bobbin, okay? Here's my little, oh, put your felt back on, always put your felt back on. And pop that onto there. And put your ordinary white bobbin back in. And then this method, the zip is just going to be stitched straight onto the lace. No work at all, no binding or anything. You can just simply stitch it. So you know what, I think I will do a very small zigzag. I think it's a little bit stronger. Oh, thread my thread up. And I'll just stick to my 1 width and maybe 2 length. I don't need to have it really close. Alright. So I hope that you've all been having fun with all of the things you've been making throughout the year with Banana Club. And there should be another book coming along shortly, which we've been waiting for, so hopefully we'll have that next month. So I have just put one side of my lace simply just on top of the other, and I'm not going to fuss about going down my scallops. I'm just going to sew straight through the middle. Okay, don't need to backstitch because I'm going to be putting that into a seam. So just lay it over top of each other and just straight stitch down. It's not a problem. There is no work involved at all. So I've just got my ordinary number 1 foot on, and then when I sew my zip in, again I'm going back to my number 4 foot. There you go. And that's how easy it is. Now I'm just going to show you, if you did want to go around your scallops, this is what you would do. You would actually shape your stitching around your scallops. So let me just show you that, because this is where you'd use your duck ball scissors. So I would shape it exactly around my scallops if I chose to. And then I would trim it at the back with my duck bill scissors. So I'll just quickly show you that, because it's not a bad little idea if you really wanted to do a really professional finish. Obviously on a garment bag I wouldn't do this, but I just want to show you another use of your duck bill scissors. So here is my scallop shape. I've gone around my scallop, so let's just go where I started. Okay, so come back this way. So this is where you'd use your duck bill scissors. You would come to the underside and your duck bill would go against your lace and you would cut out your scallop. So this is what it was actually designed for heirloom sewing. But I'm not fussing because it's only a garment bag pocket for my knickers. I don't really need to worry about it. Okay, and that's what it's for. And you can see this duck bill stops you from damaging that lace. So that's the finish you would get. And then when you come to, when I show you that, it's beautifully cut around my lace. So that's why it's used when you're doing bridal as well. And then I've got a beautiful scalloped edge. But I'm not being fussy about it. But that's what you would normally do. And you can't even tell you've joined your laces together. It's very, very clever. Now, so what I'm going to do now, here's my zip. Here's my one lace pocket. And I'm now going to stitch this lace pocket right side to right. And I'm just going to sew down, whoopsie daisy. I'm going to sew down this side of my zip. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to butt those scallops right beside the edge of my zip, put my needle position to the left and use my zip foot. So I'll quickly just show you that. You're going to be very impressed. It's an easy method. So again, your number 4 zip foot. Needle position to the left, straight stitch, needle position to the left. These machines, I need to tell the machine that I've put the number 4 foot on. There we are. And I'm just going to, I grabbed that thread and it's spun, so I'm just going to wind it up. So all I do if I want to sew, oops, round the wrong way. If I want to sew a zip straight onto fabric or lace, this is the method you're going to use, like I've used on this particular bag. So just get the little zip teeth away to start. Needle position to the left and just butt it up, your foot up against your zip. So start sewing, just lock that bit off, hold your thread. Yeah. And when you've gone past where your zip end would be, you can just roll your zip end back up, zip your zip end back up. So go to there, zip your zip back up, because it's going to make life so much easier when you're doing this. And again, I don't pin it. You just sew down, you've got your scallop over the edge of your zip. Your foot, your zip is butted up against your foot so you can't sew crooked. Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, these feet. Sew down, and you're just a normal straight stitch, 2.5 length. Okay, so down here, and then we're just going to turn it over and top stitch it. It's so simple. So this is just another way you can make really cute pockets on your garment bag. And this one's for travelling, or if you just want a pretty one. So you watch what you do now. Take that out, flip your lace over, like so, and this time put your needle position to the right. How simple is this? It's too easy. Your foot stays in exactly the same place. You position it in exactly the same place. Don't worry about your zip end too much because you're just top stitching. And then you just simply run it along, moving your lace out of the road. This is going to make a beautiful pocket. And just top stitch down, so it's very quick and easy. So don't be scared of putting in zips. Now at the end of my zip here, I am going to simply go a couple of stitches more. I'm simply going to go across here and I'm going to reverse, and then when I cut it off I'll zigzag that end. And look at that, girls, there's a really nice way of putting in a zip in lace. That'll just press out, but that would even look gorgeous down a jacket. So look at that, you join, if I put against my black top, you can make a gorgeous over jacket. So I've got my lace joined on here and I've got my zip down the centre. You can have a beautiful coloured zip down there or a black zip, and you can make a really, really nice top as well. But this is going to be a pocket to put my undies in, so it's not going to go on a garment. So that's how you would do your pockets. Okay, so there you go, girls. There's a couple of different ideas, or if you wanted to, there's nothing stopping you from having your garment bag as a beautiful lace garment bag. That could look absolutely stunning. You could have another row of lace here and 2 more rows of lace there, and you could see your garment through the lace. So that would be a beautiful, beautiful garment bag if you wanted to make a lacy one. All right, so that actually could be quite pretty, and I may even do that because I think that would be beautiful. So there's just a few little ideas of how you can make a garment bag with either the pockets here out of clear glass plastic, or the pockets here out of your lace, which is the one I'm going to do for travelling. This will just make it lighter, okay, so it won't have any weight for travelling. So there's just a couple of new ideas for Badina Club. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really encourage you to make some garment bags, and if you don't want to make the full garment bags, you can just make the shoulders to put over the top of your garments in your wardrobe, and it just keeps the dust off them. So let's tidy up our wardrobes. All right, we'll see you next month, ladies. Bye.